Hello and welcome. My name is Trismegistus and this is Factorio. I have attempted to play this, or rather record a series on this, many times, and every time I've either failed or the developers have made some changes. For example, a new version has been issued and it's caused me to stop and try again later. As I speak, the developers have recently announced that Factorio 1.0 will release in September of 2020. So I thought, as kind of a celebration of the whole early access phase of the game, I would just play the game. So I'll literally play. We want a new game. We're going to have absolutely all of the settings on default. Let's have a look. Terrain, I am going to make... Am I? Or do I want to do completely and totally default? What I was just thinking about doing is turning the cliffs down, because I find cliffs a little bit annoying. But actually, I think I'm just going to play everything as default. The other thing I often do is turn off enemy expansion. I tend to find late game in particular, you get quite OP, you're quite powerful, and it means that the enemies are just a sort of annoyance, particularly the expansion side of what the enemies do. But actually, I think I'm going to play completely vanilla, so absolutely no changes at all. What I will do though is I will re-roll a few seeds to see, or I said it, maybe this seed will be a good one, to see if there's any problems with the seed. So the preview shows you what this seed and the settings will produce, and what I'm trying to look for is a nice congregation of the key resources, so iron, copper, stone, coal and water. But as you can see here, the nearest water is actually a fair way away. I think the player would start there. So I'm not keen on that map. So I'm going to do a few re-rolls. I'll probably edit this. The sort of reason I am actually doing this playthrough is to kind of learn how to do Factorio edits. There's a lot in Factorio that's quite repetitive, or I want to learn how to do sharp, punchy videos so that when it does go to version 1, I'll be able to do a nice edited playthrough. So, I think this one... Oh no, I need to do a new seed, don't I? So let's have a look at new seed. So what we've got here, we've got another nice big patch of water there. You know, that's not a bad start actually. There's some cliffs there. What am I thinking? Do I like that start? I mean, it's not too bad. Where's the nearest coal? That's not coal, is it? That's a fair way away. I'm quite tempted by this start. Let's just play it, shall we? Let's just go. So the seed, in case you wanted to play on this map, I say everything is set to default, and the seed is 191.282.2478. Okay. Okay, so got tips and tricks have popped up. What's this telling us? Alt mode. Ah yes, good old alt mode. We will be turning that straight on. Okay, so close that. This is Factorio Free Play. Your task is to launch a rocket into space. It says it's a task. The game doesn't end when you do that. You will need to research advanced technologies in order to unlock the rocket silo. Start small, work your way up with automation, and don't forget to protect yourself from the natives. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so how do we get started? So one of the things I often do is I turn off decoratives. Yeah, here we go. So I've turned off decoratives. Now, the reason I do that is because I find them... how to put this? I find them distracting. So, we notice here... Oh, that's not a good example. So we notice here we've got two bits of rock. Yeah? And we can mine these bits of rock. I might explain some of the controls. It's not my intention to do it fully. But I'm right-clicking, basically. And holding right-click on these rocks. Right? But what the decoratives does is put like false versions of them, and that's fine, and it does make the ground look prettier as well, but I find very commonly I'll come along and I'll try and mine this and it's not an actual rock, and I find that a bit annoying. The other thing that happens is that on ore patches the decoratives are over the top, so you see this here. You can't fully see, and what that means, I mean, it's not a problem there, but on the edges, it can be difficult to tell where the actual edge is, and so you miss out little bits of ore. I'll keep the decoratives on for now, but just so you're aware, I might turn them off. But let's have a look here. So what we want to do is we want to place our stone furnace and our first miner, and what we want to do is we want to place this on here and that on there, and open that up so that we can get some coal, some iron into this stone furnace, and that will cook us up some iron plates, which we will then use to make a few more of these. I don't tend to stick with burning technology for too long, as in burner mining drills. I just find them a bit tedious, to be honest with you. What I will do though, I will go and chop some more wood while we wait. As with the rocks, I'm just holding right click to mine or chop down those trees. Let's have a look. How many have we got here? So we've got 11 iron plates, so that should let us make another burning mine drill. We should be able to make a wooden chest. And how much coal? Yeah, I've got 25 coal. So what I want to do, I'm just going to dash over here and put a burner mining drill. One of the most useful things they've added to the game is picker tool, which you get by hitting the Q key. And on, ore patches, if you hit Q, it'll pick out automatically the most advanced thing you have. Yeah, so that will dig us up a bit of stone. We've got some stone there, so we don't need a lot of stone. Let's grab some more iron plate, so that we should be able to build a couple more mining drills, which we will place on here. We use a little trick you can do, which is getting them to feed into each other, and we seed this with a little bit of coal, and now what happens is it uses that coal to mine up the coal and puts it into this one, and then this one uses that coal that it's got in to dig us some more, and this feeds it back into there, and you get a little cycle. Now you can have a long chain of those, so you can get, you can feed it up there, and then of course feed it down and feed it around. But what we can do, because we have like a couple of nice shortcut keys where we can just hold down Control and like basically left click on them, and it'll take out whatever's in the inventory. So you see we've got 23 there, we've now got 25. Yeah. So we'll get another couple if we can. One of them, two of them, we need more iron. So we'll get. What did I do there? Yeah. So I want another one of these going, which we will fuel up with. There. How much coal has this got in? Probably more, I think. Don't really need it in there. Grab some more coal. Can I build turrets yet? No, I can build radar. I think turrets come with the first military from memory. They fiddle about with the things quite a lot, so I sometimes get a bit lost. Or I'm thinking in terms of old versions of the game, not lost as such. So what we will do, we don't really need it at this stage, but we might as well get it on here. We'll get a bit of copper going. You can get these. This is like a shortcut to your inventory. You get your inventory by pressing the E key. And we will put some wood in here. Okay, so that's copper. This is copper. That's iron. This is stone. The black one is coal. This blue patch here is water. That's how much. What I mentioned doing the Alt key. So what we will do now, I've actually got it bound to the Alt GR, the Alt, not Alt, because if you want to Alt tab out of the application, say you want to, click on a, link or something, and you've got a music player going or whatever. You use that with Alt, normal Alt, and the two overlap essentially. So let's grab some stone. We don't really need all that stone. How much coal? I'll just let that run through. And we will grab, this should be our first bit of copper. And we will grab some iron ore and some more coal. Should I make another? So I can already make steam engines. And can I make a boiler? Yes, I can. How much iron do I need? I need a bit more. So I can do an offshore pump. I need some pipes. Going to need some electric cables. And some... well, I don't need them at the moment, but I will need some inserters. Definitely going to need some pipes. Where's pipes? Oh, I need more. I thought I would have more by now. How much coal have you got in? Not too bad. If you're playing the game, I'm going to say properly, I mean it's not properly, but how a lot of people play is they stack up loads and loads of these, but as I say, I don't really like them, so I try to avoid making too many. If I make a burner money drill, I'm going to need a lab, so I'm going to need some more copper. And load more iron as well. Might as well get some coal. I still have been chunking away. Still can't make some labs. We'll go and set up electricity while that's cooking up some stuff for me. So this is a nice big lake that we'll use for our initial power. We'll put our initial power bits down here. Let's have a look at the map. These red dots, those are biters. So those are the enemies, basically. In fact, I can make one, so we need to do one of them as well. That's iron. That's armor, basically. So it protects you, as you'd imagine. All we've got is a pistol, which is very slow firing. I tend to go, not overboard, but I tend to focus on military more than is strictly sort of necessary. And it's just because I prefer, really, to be sort of protected, if you see what I mean. You know, I'd rather over-tech myself than under-tech myself. I did make it. Okay, so we'll put another box. Well, I need a bit more wood, don't I? Let's go and chop a few trees down. So, power, electric trickery. What we've done here, we've set up an offshore pump. Offshore pumps do not need power. Yeah, I mean they should do, but they don't basically. So this will provide water. Water's coming here. This is an underground pipe, but that at maximum extent, just because really. So this will feed in water. This is a boiler. As it says on the tooltips now, basically it will consume anything that's burnable, i.e. coal, and it will burn that in order to heat the water to boiling point, which it will turn therefore into steam. That smoke is it burning the coal. A burner inserter will use coal automatically to keep itself powered. So long as there's coal in the system, this whole thing will keep going. What it's done here is this burner inserter has fueled up the boiler, and the boiler has burnt sufficient coal in order to make steam to essentially fill these up. They all sort of work like containers. It's full of water, it's full of water on this side, and it's produced steam on this side, and these steam engines have filled up with steam. Now, in the game, heat is not lost effectively, and you have sort of perfect conservation of energy, except for where it has specific things where it, is inefficient. Yeah, so this thing produces pollution, and sort of in the logic of the game, it therefore doesn't perfectly convert coal into steam because it produces pollution as well. Pollution is a mechanic in the game. This red blob here. So this is all the pollution we've produced. And what that does is that spreads out essentially. I mean, it does things like kill trees and other stuff. But what it's really about is that it angers the natives, the locals, and they produce attack squads essentially that will come and try and destroy the things that are producing pollution. Okay. The tactic we'll be using is to defend our pollution cloud. Okay. One of the things to note, you have a fog of war effect, which is this around the outside here, and this is the area I can see as the player. And what we can do is to note, one of the things that I know confuses new players is that you see these yellow icons here. What this is saying is that this is not connected to a power drain, so it's got steam in it, but the yellow icons mean that there's nothing drawing power. Okay, so we will give it something to draw power. and that what we'll give it is a radar, basically. Now what we can do, or what we will do, is we hook up electricity poles. The blue purpley area there is essentially the area of effect, so it can gather and distribute power over that area. So you notice these small ones, the wooden ones, there's a gap there. So if you wanted full coverage, you would need to do something like that. We don't need that at the moment. But what I do need to do is go and grab some more, go and grab some more iron. In fact, first of all, grab some coal. You see these have stopped because they filled each other up. So we've now got 100 coal sat in their inventories. And what we can do is we can make sure we've got some coal in each of these. And then we can grab all the iron that's produced. That should give us enough to make a radar and some armour. What else did I need? Oh, it was a lab, wasn't it? I need a lab. Okay. And I need to make some science. That's probably used up all of our iron, has it? Yeah, I suspect it has. So we'll come down here and grab our copper. I'll fill these up again. You don't need a lot of copper, sort of early doors. But, you know, we might as well make some. This has run out. Do I need any more stone? Not really, so I'll leave that. So 4, 5, we need 10 for our first bit of research. Where's our things? So what I'm actually going to do, just to help me out, is to put some icons on the map. You do that by right-clicking. So I'm going to put this over here. Is our... where's power? I can never remember. Here we go. So that's power. We will plop down our radar. Okay. We will then plop down our first laboratory. And that automatically brings up the technology tree. Now, once you've launched rocket, it allows you to do like a research queue. One of the tips I have for the game in general is to not sort of stack up too much research, particularly when you're a new player and you're learning the game. The game is paused while we're in this menu. You can actually set it so it isn't, but it's the default is for it to be paused. And these are all, so basically these yellow technologies are the one we can research. The red ones are ones we can't yet research because they are prerequisite technologies. So electronics there, yeah, requires automation to have been completed. Automation is there, basically. This is the first science you always want to do because it unlocks the assemblers. And the assemblers are basically the point of the game. The whole point of the game is to automate everything. Okay, that was that tip at the start of the game. So we want that one in order to make assemblers so that we can automate everything, including production of science, which will then allow us to automate the production of all of this stuff. These bakery ones are the levels of science. So something like, I don't know, character logistics down here. This is telling us it needs red, green and blue science. Both green and blue science are things you have to unlock, okay, with preceding science. And it's also, I mean, to explain what this is showing, it does actually have nice... one of the things they've been adding in 0.17 as it's going along is better tooltips and a better UI. And what this is effectively saying is that each unit of science requires a red, green and a blue beaker and then takes 30 seconds to process. Okay, you then need to do that 50 times. Okay, so if you had one laboratory, which was what we've got at the moment, it would have to cycle through a 30-second unit, as it were, to a unit of science 50 times. Okay, so it would take 30 times 50 seconds. Now what you actually do is have lots and lots of laboratories, and you also use things like beacons and modules to boost their speed and productivity, and that then works in parallel. So laboratories are not in sequence, they're in parallel. So if you have 5 laboratories, you know, you can divide that by 5 effectively, so it would take 10 lots of 30 seconds. Okay, and as I say, you can get things like this, lab research speed, which speeds up the laboratories, so they don't take 30 seconds, they take 20% less time. Okay, so that's sort of a rough guide to science. I say the first one we will research is automation. It requires 10 beacons. Of course, we've not got assembly machines, so we have to handcraft them, which is what I've done. So we will start that research. Now, is this progress bar? Okay. And what we'll see is there's a little icon that shows us the progress on that. So to get out of this menu, we're going to hit E. So this automation here. Now, nothing's happening. Well, you notice power's started drawing because this has a continuous consumption of 300 kilowatts. The laboratory also has a power consumption, so these will then kick into gear, in higher gear rather, once we put some beakers in, and it starts its science. Okay. The power thing you can actually see quite easily. You just left click on a power pile, and it shows you your satisfaction production. Another thing I know a lot of new players struggle with is what these mean, and what this is basically showing is that our production is at 360 kilowatts because we have a demand of 360 kilowatt. The whole system is intelligent. It knows how much power you require in order to power the items that are connected to it. So together, and you can actually see it's quite easy one to show. So this is 300, and this is max consumption of 60 kilowatts. So 360, we're drawing 360. Easy. Why this is down here and not up here is because this is showing the maximum production. So it's showing that actually we could go all the way up here. So we could have, what's that? That's probably about, I don't know, a fifth or a sixth of it. So we could have 6 slots of this, and that's only when we would reach our maximum capacity. Yeah. So what this bar shows is how close your production is to its maximum output. Okay. If you get to a stage where this maxes out, but you have more satisfaction, what will actually happen is that this will drop down, and it starts to go yellow and red to show that that's a danger. This will stay at max, and this will drop down, basically showing that you're not producing enough to match your satisfaction. The other thing you can keep an eye on are the graphs. Okay, so you've got time series. So this is 5 seconds. This is an hour. Obviously, we've literally just started. Half an hour in. So that's our first research finished. So this is just showing that after half an hour, this is the power we've gone. So what's happened is we had a laboratory come online, and that used a lot of power, and now the laboratory is basically switched off because we've finished our research. Okay, and there it is. It's sat there doing nothing because, as I say, the research has switched off. So what we can do now, if we've got enough iron, I don't know if we have or not, is we can set up some production chains. Now, I always get this wrong. There's a nice, I'm actually going to make some repair packs as well. There's a nice little sort of sequence you can make, and I will do it, but I will almost certainly get it wrong. Because a red science pack, okay, and it's actually called automation science pack, yeah, there you go, requires a copper plate and an iron gear wheel. So a copper plate is a raw material, but an iron gear wheel is something you make out of iron plates. So what we want to do is feed in iron plates and copper plates, make iron gear wheels, and feed the copper and the iron gear wheels into our assembler, which we will use to make science packs. Yeah, so it's like a production chain, basically. So what we would do, I'm not sure I actually explained the tip, but basically the tip I have is not to stack up lots of research, and even though, so it's science Q again, even though all of these researches are available, don't just smash through them. Okay, there's several reasons for that. One is that when you're producing these, you're using pollution. You're producing pollution which will spread out and annoy the natives and possibly trigger an attack when you're not ready. Okay. The other reason is that things can get quite overwhelming in Factorio. Particularly, one of the things with green, once you've got green science, you see all of these technologies that you can unlock with green science. And when you're building your factory, you can just unlock these and unlock these, unlock these, unlock these. And you get to a point where you're like, oh my God, I've got so many things I'm supposed to make. It becomes overwhelming. I don't know what to do first. I get confused, So my tip is basically to only unlock them as you need them or as you're about to need them. So for example, we've done automation because we've got to. That's the first one we've got to do in order to get our little science production tree going. But I'm not actually going to set a new research until I've got that going. Yeah, so I could stack a research and I could handcraft some beakers, but I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is set up that production facility for the red beakers, and then I'm going to research turrets. And that's the idea. You research things as you need them, basically. Okay, so what we're going to do first is go and grab a load of iron. I want to just check the map as well. The thing I didn't explain with the radar is that what the radar is, you see how this was a square before, and now you've got a little blob there and some weird blobs there. What the radar is doing is the radar is scanning around. Yes. There you go. So it's just done one there. So it's going out and it's scanning each chunk. And it has a maximum range. and it will, scan that chunk, that bit of the map continuously, and show us where all like the iron patches are, where the biters are, and also where our pollution cloud has got to. Okay. I say I'll try and get this right. I will almost certainly get it wrong. What we want to do is we want to have a... Do I do it like that? So we want to have an assembler here that... Actually, I want some electric inserters, don't I? So what I want this to do is make red science beacons. Okay. It needs some power. Actually, I'm going to move that over to be a bit tidier. So I want to pop. I don't tend to use the quick bar too much. I tend to be I use the picker tool, but it's quite useful at the beginning here when we've not got anything laid down. Okay, so this is making red science beacons. Okay, and what it needs, therefore, is iron gear wheels. Oops, got that wrong. Iron gear wheels. So those need to be fed in there. But this needs... I think I've got this right. First time. What this needs is iron plate. So if we put iron plate in there... Yeah, I think I've got that right. Miracles never cease. I can actually probably get rid of that pole. There you go. So, what we've got here now is we've got a box full of iron plate, which is feeding into this, which is producing iron gear wheels. That then is feeding into here. So this is stacking up iron gear wheels in here. But what we've got here is another inserter, so we can also put copper plate in there, and that will then feed in copper plate. So this now is being fed with the two things it needs in order to make red science packs. And it's then feeding these into our science lab. Okay? Yeah, I think I got that right first time. I normally mess that up and I arrange these badly and, make a mess of it, basically. Now you'll notice, or you may have noticed, that I put 100 iron plate and 50 copper plate in there. The reason for that is that each red science beaker takes 2 iron plate and 1 copper plate. So if you put them in the box in the required ratio, then you will produce exactly the right number of packs, basically, that you put in. So I put in 150, so we will produce 50 red beakers. Now, I say it's not using them because I have not started the next research. So let's do that. So some turrets, yeah? Next we'll make military. I say I tend to prioritise military just because I don't like the biters turning up and eating all my stuff. So I like to be nice and ready for the biters. What we actually want to do is start making belt. Your early factory certainly basically runs on belt. So by belt I mean transport belt. Yeah, it's kind of the core part of your base, really. Oh, there's our research is finished. So I will do military too, because this lets us build the submachine gun, which is much more effective for defending ourselves. What we can also do is build some turrets. Now I want to put some repair packs together as well. Repair packs allow you, as it says, repair things. So if the biters come and nosh on our stuff, then repair packs allow us to fix it, basically. Turret on there. So the green area there is the coverage area of the turret. So I can put one turret here and it covers all of our stuff there. What we also need is more magazines. We'll put 5 in for now. We'll need to make a lot more. What we'll also do, because this is, sort of pollution producing, we'll pop one over here. And we'll put, I'll put 5 in there, might as well. And then we'll put one over here, which covers our science. That'll do. And we'll put 5 in there as well. Okay, so we've got a bit of defence going. So if I show you the map, one of the things I can show you, so that's our coverage areas for our defensive structures. So we've got a little bit of defensive coverage, the things we've built. I'm actually going to run over just to make sure there aren't any biters over here. Different types of terrain absorb pollution at different rates. So This is less pollution absorbing, so our pollutions are going to spread further over there. Okay, so we've done those. Lights would be nice. There's actually a mod you can do or you can put on that is designed for YouTubers. It sort of makes nighttime brighter, but I don't like to use it because I think you need to see if you are following this watching this as a new player, I think you need to see how dark it is at night so you can understand what's going on. So we've got logistics. That would be useful because that would give us splitters and undergrounds. It's only 20. So we will start that. The others I will then leave, I think. So all I'm doing here is just wandering out a bit, just to make sure we've got a bit of a gap here, a bit of knowledge around this area. So there's no biters in close. I've forgotten the preview already. I think there were some biters over here as well, and then some down here with another iron patch or coal patch or something. So I think we'll be alright for a while. Our only threat really will likely come if some biters decide to set up a new nest. They basically expand by sending out like colony groups that set up a new set of nests. We should be alright for a while though. What I want to do... Now we've got these cliffs here, which are a bit of a pain in the bum, if I'm totally frank. The technique I'm going to use is a main bus, and to do a main bus I need smelting arrays. And what I'm thinking is we try and put the main bus here. Well, we'll do like... Because what I'll actually do is I'll do like a bootstrap starter base, basically. And so I'll probably be weaving it around a bit. Maybe, bending a corner or something. I don't actually know where oil is. That's one of our priorities. I didn't really look at that on the map. And I've forgotten the preview anyway, as I said. So I'm thinking we'll put the smelting stuff here. Because it's right next to this, the initial smelting stuff. So we'll have iron, copper, stone to smelt. Yeah, it works in there, I think. But what we can do is we run coal over to our boiler. And what I can actually do is I can sort of parasitize off our science bit to make some belts as well, some transport belts. So I'm quite impressed with myself getting this right first time. Because this is how, or I do it anyway. So this is transport belts we want it to make. Is that covering it? Yeah, that's covering it. And we want another chest. One output there. Oh, well, actually, let's keep it in the power grid. And we want to limit that to 1 stack. All I'm doing is left clicking on there. And I want to put in lots more iron in here so that this doesn't starve our science. I say most players would by now, they would have had, lots of burner mining drills over on the iron patch to produce lots and lots of iron. So I don't tend to do that. What I do instead is get to electricity as soon as I can. I've not got the iron to do that. So where does that actually cover? So if I try and put that, how about we put that there? You see what I was saying about the decoratives? It's difficult to tell where the edges of the patches are. Or I find it difficult to tell that. So what we want to do is have a transport over here. Now I'm going to ghost this. All I'm doing is holding the shift key and it's turned it into a ghost, which allows me to lay it down without actually laying it down. To sort of plan it out. So what we would need is probably some belt coming up here. I do just want to check how much coal we've got in here. Okay, so let's make that a stack again. So yeah, and then I'll be able to put some smelting stuff either here and, well, probably both sides. So it's going to be, the bootstrap base is going to be quite quick and dirty really. What we want to do is probably run a power pole. 1, 2, 3. Bosh. And a power pole. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to not do any more science for the time being. There, so they're all connected. To do this, to lay the poles, all you have to do is hold down the left mouse button and run, and it'll automatically place them at the maximum distance. It tries to be relatively clever and tries to give maximum coverage. It's not always successful. So if you had, for example, well, there's a good example. So it's trying to connect them up, and it's not putting anything down, even though it should put one there. So it's not always foolproof. So how many belts have I got there? I've got them. So I got 67. So I think that would get us most of the way. So it's quite a long way to be taking this, but what we're going to do is we're going to be tapping off this line, just for ease of doing it really. You actually move quicker when you run in the same direction as your belts. One of the things I won't be doing is laying down concrete everywhere. A lot of players lay down concrete everywhere in their base, like stone and concrete, and you run faster on stone and concrete, but it causes pollution to spread more. So I'm not a fan of doing that. I don't think it looks good, and it causes pollution to spread further, because stone and concrete don't really absorb pollution at all. So it gets us a bit more. What else do I want to do now? What I want to do now really is start making the stuff for our smelting area. I am going to need some drills. So this is where my loathness to use burners hurts me, because it takes longer to gather this material together. But I say I really don't like using them at all. Am I going to have my smelters on my first bit of smelting on this side or on this side? I think it makes more sense to have it on this side, because although we've got, cliffs and stuff there, these trees will absorb some of the pollution it produces. Whereas if we put it there, it's sort of more free to go up, across this terrain that is doesn't absorb pollution as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some iron smelting here, I think. So to do that, and this will probably be the end of the episode, I'm going to take a split off from the coal, and is that far enough over? Yeah, that'll do. And I'm actually gonna ghost this. So that's the coal, which we will have coming in. That will overlap with the copper, won't it? Yeah. So if I move that a bit further over. Oops. So that actually. So this will be the coal. And that'll come down there. We'll then get some iron ore, which actually I'm not able to make one of those yet. Yep. So the iron ore I will have there. So if we say that's the top end of it there, then bottom end of it. Oh, put that in the wrong place. It's R to rotate, Q to use the picker. So that coming over there. That's not how I do it actually normally, is it? No. Yeah, no, normally what I do is I have... So that needs to be the edge, doesn't it? Okay. Is I like to... I'm going to make a bit of a mess here, aren't I? Oh well. So if I do this up here a bit, and then we have an underground there, and then let's put these in. So that's going to go that way. So then I want to leave a little bit of a gap. I also want to put a bit of space in case I end up upgrading these to electrics. I'm guessing by the time I do that, or by the time I'm in that position, I'll actually be setting up smelting elsewhere. How do I normally do this in terms of distance? So normally I have that coming out, and then I'll be putting that under there. So that's that. Oh, should have done that. Okay, so this is this going up here. So this is me just designing it on the fly. You can, the game gives you the option to use blueprints. Oh, put the wrong thing in there. The game gives you the option to use blueprints. Yeah. And you can actually save them and export them. So actually, if I build one more of them so I can line it up properly. And, you know, a lot of players like to do that. I personally like to build everything fresh. So that's the output, isn't it? So that needs to be the input now. Build everything fresh each time. And I sort of use the same principles. The same basic design ideas, but each time I do it, it's, you know, the first time or, you know, it's my design for that playthrough, if you see what I mean. So what I'm doing, how I'm setting this up, I'm doing two things. Okay. I am putting coal on the outside and having an in lane for iron ore and out lane for iron plate. Okay, I always do this middle thing. You can do things like what's called belt weaving, and a lot of people do a thing where they use splitters to put things on both sides of the belt and have it come down here. This is just how I prefer to do it. The other thing I'm doing is spacing them out for two reasons. One, as mentioned earlier, if I want to upgrade these to electric furnaces, then there's the room to just plop them in, basically, without messing around too much. But also, what I do with power poles is I put them in here. Yeah, so what you'll see a lot of players do is they have this sort of a weird arrangement where, in order to power their power poles, you know, these will all be next to each other, and in order to power, you know, all these inverters, and they have basically cables all over the place because you have to put them on the outside and on the inside, and it's all a real mess, in my opinion. What I prefer to do is do this, you see, because what we can do is we can power two entire furnace blocks with just one small power pole. Okay, and then we don't need one there, and we can power two more. So we've got 4 power poles powering, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 8. No, 2, 4, 6, 8 furnaces and all the associated inserters. And I say that's how I prefer to do it. It is very heavy on these long-handed inserters, my design. I mean, I'm fine with that, basically. That's all I can really say about it. You know, that's something I don't mind, and I'm happy with. I know a lot of other players don't like long-handed inserters, which is fine. That's their, you know, it's their preferences. We need lots more belts. You need loads of belts. You know, we'll be producing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of belts. So put the iron in there. What we could start up is some more research to do lights, because it's only 10, and it'll let us put some lights down on that smelter so that we can see what we're doing. We do also, I mean, really we need some more turrets. See how I was saying about the iron plate? You know, if I'd put lots and lots more burner drills and stuff on, we wouldn't be starving for plate. Again, it's just how I tend to play, really. So what I will actually do is I'll use a blueprint to make a copy of this, which I will then use as my smelting array that I'll then basically, you know, copy down. So to lay a blueprint, you literally just click. If there's things in the way, like here, you can shift click, hold shift, and it'll mark these for destruction. Yeah, so we want to put another one there, and I don't know, another one there, just to show me, you know, where I want to put the stuff. Let's lay down some power poles. But yeah, so I like to build them each time, because that's one of the more pleasant aspects of the game for me, just holding F key to pick things up off the ground, off of the belts. How are we doing with our lights? Oh, did I do lights? Oh, I know what I did. I clicked that, but I forgot to click the start research, didn't I? I'm a bit chronic for doing that. Okay, so we've got loads of belt now. It's probably going to eat all of our iron plate to make the belts rather than build research the optics. So what I will just do is to get this running. So I'll run this down here. Or have you used? Ah, you've used up all the iron ore underneath. So we do need to keep these going for a little while at least. Let's grab some more coal from this. Okay, so they're all full. Let's give them that. So we need a bit more coal going on here. It's not great practice for me to be siphoning coal off of the thing that's, ensuring our power. But, whatever. I tend to play Factorio very much in a sort of a mind frame of just get it done, You can have all perfect ratios and all this sort of stuff. I'll just plot one turret or a marker for a turret there. I need a lot more iron plate again, don't I? I play very much in a style of, let's just get it done. Let's get the things making stuff. And I do hit, I do follow. So we got some biters up there. Okay. So that was the spot where it covered all of our stuff. So we now have no ammo. Actually, what I can do, I can show you. So what reason I'm sort of building these up here is that these will. You see how now we've got like loads of, iron plate stored in these, and this is how you play the game. This is what the game's about: scaling everything up all the time, making more. And what you have to expand your territory. Take over these iron patches from the biters. To get access to the resources, to build more, to progress in the game, basically. Yeah, so we should be able to make a load more bullets. We can make a submachine gun for ourselves. I can't make a shotgun because I've not got. I quite like the shotgun. A lot of players don't like it. There's certainly, when you get later on, you get a combat shotgun, which is basically an automatic, the shotgun's automatic, but it's much faster firing, and that is quite an effective weapon, certainly mid-game. But say I quite like the normal shotgun. So these do auto-equip into the slots, so we don't really want to be using the pistol anymore. We can switch between the weapons with tab. Just a note about firing. So the shotgun. There are actually two fire keys in the game. So there's C and space. Now for the shotgun and several other weapons, they're sort of area. So if I want to shoot this tree, I can use C. And if I want to shoot this tree, I can use space. Okay. Now for the submachine gun, it doesn't work that way. If I want to shoot this tree and I press space, space is like an auto-aim version for the submachine gun, so it won't fire. But if there were biters, if there were enemies in this area, it would automatically fire on those enemies. If I want to force fire on the tree, I have to hit C. Yeah? I wouldn't recommend doing any of those because, well, certainly not at this stage, because we don't have a lot of iron basically. So shooting trees is a bit of a luxury just at the moment. Let's grab some of that iron ore. So you see, we now got hundreds of iron ore, where we didn't have any. So let's go and stock up, or let's go and put some iron plate over here so that we can finish optics. I'd quite like to end the episode by putting some lights down. We can stock the copper up as well. In fact, I might as well just put all of my resources in there. What we'll also do is the first of our dump chests. So we'll put that, because that's basically useless, the pistol. Eventually I'll be blowing those up, but I'll put more stuff in them first. The other thing I should show you while this is sort of working, while we were making the optics, these are fish, okay, and they're basically, you can, if I right click, then I'm grabbing the fish out of the water, okay, and you see they go into my inventory here. you can essentially eat the fish if you left click. Now it's not doing anything, but if I take damage, then they're a very good way, very quick way restoring health basically. So eventually I won't need them, but we'll have a nice stack of fish. There we go, so that's optics finished. What I will research next time is the rest of these red sciences, but that'll be in the next episode. I'm going to fairly quickly, or fairly soon next episode, go out and find oil, because oil we will need relatively soon. You don't really need it until sort of, I guess it's early mid-game, but we need to know where it is, and we need to sort of protect the area really, given that we've got biter expansion on. We don't want any biters to be sat over our oil field protecting it essentially. So there we go, so that is the end of this first episode. Let's just play Factorio. So if you've been watching, I hope you've enjoyed it, and you might consider coming back for another one. I've been Trismegistus, this has been Factorio, thanks for watching. Cheers.